Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. We will be exploiting weak bucket policy for privileged access on Porn Labs, and this is going to be my third lab for this year. So first thing that we're going to do is to start the lab, and upon starting the lab, I'm given the VPN file and the AWS credential. And we know that when there's an AWS credential, we already have our initial foothold into the server. Now I'm going to fire up my terminal to connect to the OpenVPN file so that I can have access to the internal infrastructure. Now, noticing the scenario, there is an IP address that was given to the lab, and that IP address is what is the reason why we are using the OpenVPN file. So, open a new tab, paste the IP address, and see what goes on in this IP address. And if there is nothing that spawns up, we're going to make use of nmap to scan the IP address. After waiting for a while, the website failed to load, so I knew that probably I'm on the wrong port. Now, I'm going to fire my nmap to scan for what port I open on this IP address, and to my surprise, it was not port 80. Port 3000 was discovered. Now let's go ahead and check if this port actually works for the website. So this is the website. The first thing I always do is to inspect the page or check the page source so that I can try to find for Amazon AWS S3 buckets very fast to see if we can get a leak. And once we have that leak, we can then go ahead with our S3 enumeration. We found the S3 bucket. Now let's go to our terminal and start our enumeration. Now, after a lot of trials and errors to try to find something significant, I got it with a lot of blocks, so I had to check the workflow and see what am I missing. And so I discovered S3 API, AWS S3 API, which has a different syntax for enumeration. And so I decided to give it a try. Now I began to see some headway while using S3 API to perform my enumeration. So next thing is to get the bucket policy to know what the bucket can do, and then I discovered that there is a particular Excel file, backup.xls to be precise, that can be accessible by this account or by this bucket. So the next thing that we need to do is to download this backup file. After I was done downloading, I tried to open it on my Windows machine and discovered that the file itself is encrypted and I need to decrypt it using John the Ripper. So I had to spawn up Office to John Python script to convert the Excel file to a John file, then crack the password. And after waiting for so long, finally we've gotten the password. Quite easy, but the word list has to run through. Now, taking the password, we're going to extract the content and see what this backup contains. The Excel file shows us a lot of credentials for different access or for different endpoints for this company. And it is quite important to try to observe what endpoints can be used in this particular case scenario, especially that we are working with a website. Since we're working with a website, I had to quickly download a directory brute forcer tool and brute force directories for this website to find hidden pages or hidden endpoint on the site. So tried to install Go Booster, but it wasn't working. So after a while, I finally got to discover an hidden endpoint called CRM. This This CRM is the staff's management portal. So from the backup file that we found, we can see that there is a CRM credential. Now we copy the credential with the password and then log in successfully into the CRM. Now all I needed to do is to view the invoice status and download the invoice because that's where the flag is. So and with that, I was able to solve the lab. Thank you guys for watching. If you love this video content, please do well to subscribe and give me a like as it helps boost my reach. Thank you so much for joining me. See you guys again.